Yo, here we go again. So this time, really excited. Luke is here. This is Luke Gibbons. He's a friend of mine, physiotherapist, long-time friend, and really looking forward to bringing sort of his kind of expertise and his insights into some of the stuff we do in Taekwondo, sports in general, and yeah. So I mean, it'll be really cool. I'm really excited to do this one. Let's hack into it and see what you get. So why don't you give us the who's who of who you are and what you do and where you're from and all of that.
That's it. Well, as you said, long-time friend of Eoin. I from Delny, still here. Got into physio about the age of 21 or so. Messed around in music for a bit, that wasn't going too well for me, so I needed to find something else that that I thought was a kind of I suppose maybe a career or a job that would sort of help people really was the main thing or whatever. And also, you're going to use your body. It's got this kind of it's an applied science or whatever. It's interesting from that kind of point of view as well. And the body's just a fascinating area. So they were kind of my reasons. And also I played sport pretty much all my life and so as well. So that there was a connection there, I suppose, from that. Like a lot of physios, I suppose, as they tend to get into it. But
so did you think that, like, when you chose physiotherapy, that it was a conscious thing, that this is a skill that I can use all through my life and it'll make, if I look after myself now and whatever?
Yeah, that was also part of it as well. Like I definitely thought it would be beneficial for myself and give me some tips on how. And luckily enough, even though I wouldn't be as active as yourself now, but actually touch wood, remain fairly kind of injury free. So maybe it has helped in that regard too, or whatever. Except for the odd ankle sprain when I'm running through forest or something, or yeah, exactly. Don't run on mucky ground. It's not going to roll too well, but yeah. So been qualified then, I suppose, the last kind of 8 years or so. Done a mixture of like kind of private practice and working with some teams, soccer, rugby, Gaelic. At the moment, just really Gaelic is my only team sport that I'm kind of working with. But then I also teach a kind of a mixture of kind of yoga, Pilates kind of class, mainly Pilates, but mixed in a lot of kind of other physio, yoga and movement kind of based stuff as well as that. So and that's nice for me as well, to keep exploring movement and try to come up with kind of the stuff that's good for my body too, I suppose, as well. So very selfish.
That's the way it all starts.
Exactly.
But you had a background in martial arts as well. You did Taekwondo, WT Taekwondo for a while.
Yeah, right? for and funnily enough, actually, my first dip into it was in Lockdown with an ITF club. Actually, geez, I forget the instructor's name. It was that long ago, but that was from about the ages of 5 to 8. I think I got maybe a blue tip, perhaps, maybe. But then that fell by the wayside. I played rugby for years and years, and then sort of combined the two from about the age of 14 to 17 with the WTF.
High tackles.
Yeah, exactly. It was a totally different kettle of fish. WTF is a crazy style, so much kicking. But kind of lost the graw or fell out of love with that a bit by the age of kind of 17, 18. Still playing a bit of rugby, but then actually dipped back into martial arts for about maybe 4 or 5 years with some jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and a little bit of MMA, mainly jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and cool. that was a lot of fun.
They're different worlds, aren't they?
Totally different worlds. Yeah. But the jiu-jitsu is a lot of fun. It's always something new every class and stuff. Luckily, I avoided injury because it seems to be quite prominent, especially among people losing lots of knees and ankles. Leg lock game seems to have come into it a lot lately and stuff. But
don't breathe the knee.
Yeah, exactly. But luckily, I didn't come out too scathed from that.
Cool. So I'm curious then. Like, I mean, because I really want to give value to people who are watching or listening or whatever. So I mean, from a Taekwondo point of view, like we're a kicking game usually, right? I mean, ITF is more handsy than
there is
absolutely, right?
It's closer, strike the head and stuff.
Closer to kickboxing, right, than other systems, or that's the closest comparison I can find, So I mean, there is definitely more arms and hands in it than in the WT Taekwondo, but for sure, kicking is the thing that Taekwondo is known for. This is the thing that a lot of people struggle, and then so I mean, what I'd really like to get into with you is stuff like just from your experience, things that you think will benefit the sort of the average kicker, not necessarily the elite level athlete who's been training, 6 days a week since they were 4, and Shogun Warrior, but stuff that for the guys that train twice a week, 3 times a week, it's a hobby. It's not, they've no ambition to be world champions, and maybe some of this will help that pool of people as well. But I find sometimes a lot of the Taekwondo content is targeted towards the 1% of elite athletes. And I kind of I'd like to give value to the people who are maybe not in that category, right?
I saw a few YouTube videos before I did this, and I was looking at some of the Taekwondo, and like, Jesus, some of it is very, very high level stuff. Let's say, or whatever.
Flying 540s through flaming barrels over.
That is a very small percentage of the population that could probably achieve it. But anyway, as you say, maybe something a little bit more. Taking back a few steps, and that might be of great benefit to the general athlete. And the most important thing that I'm supposed to say about any of this kind of additional training, whatever else, no matter which aspect you're kind of focusing on, just to try and make it as efficient and time effective as possible. Because again, everyone's so busy these days, and you hardly get a minute for anything. So rather than I think once you have that kind of structure and you can be very kind of targeted and kind of focus on what you're going to work on, and that's what I'm hopefully going to give you, as well as a few kind of specific kind of things to sort of look at and figure out. I think with Taekwondo, I'd say a big thing we'll be looking at is kind of groin and sort of hip flexibility, mobility.
For sure.
So yeah, that might take the majority of the focus. But as well as that, definitely. Calves and hamstrings are going to have a big role to play as well, and so just maybe we can look at maybe 4 or 5 drills that might be handy, and as I said, very time efficient. And also another thing that we might look at, because I think and it's something again for the viewers or whoever's watching this, again it's what I'm saying here. It's not a fix all for everyone. These are things that we should. Maybe play with a little bit, see if they work for us. If they don't, we go back to what does and such. Because one thing that we might look at a little bit is some foam run, but that's a very kind of the more and more I look at that, it's very kind of individualized. Some people, they hate any kind of pain sensation, and that gives their body, that makes their body into a high stress situation, and it's just over that. Some people really like that, and they find it actually kind of desensitizes things, and
it's kind of that crew.
And I am too, I always call me Dr. Pain and stuff.
Absolutely. Dr. Pain, right here.
That name again instead of Dr. Pain. But so that's the first thing. Everyone's an individual and everyone's different, and some of this stuff mightn't be for everyone. So
is this the kind of stuff that is little and often, or do you get the same value out of doing this with a big bang and then doing nothing for a week, or do you do a little bit every day, and that's the real trick to this?
The more and more I look at this in general, with whether it's conditioning or mobility flexibility, it's always seems to be little and often is really the way forward as such. And it doesn't have to be a lot of time. 5 minutes for maybe. As an example, like a little bit of foam on your adductors and maybe 1 or 2 stretches is plenty, as long as you're doing them well, and that's why we might look at things a little bit specifically. You're going to get a lot of benefit out of that, and that's the way I sort of tend to look at things, with time. With time efficiencies and stuff like that, so maybe for one day to just focus in on the adductors, maybe the next day if you're quite tight to the hips, look at your kind of glutes, and sort of break it down to that way. And I think that can be quite an effective approach, as opposed to just trying to bash through as many stretches as you can and get every little area kind of focused on. It can be just nice to kind of break it down, have a really targeted focus, and because with anything, with any exercise in general, it's all about quality over quantity or whatever. That's a huge thing to get across as well. 10 stretches done bad is a lot worse than one stretch.
And we say the same about like kicking in classes, right? There's no point throwing a wonky sidekick really high, when you can perform something with really good quality that's a little bit lower, right, and build that strength, and then you can build that
absolutely.
But everyone wants to kick high, and everyone tries to go, and I'm a victim of it myself. I do it all the time, and sacrifice form over functionality or whatever. But
like it comes back, and the technique in general, and other things. Take it slow, and with these stretches in general as well, take it slow, getting into them, like with any of this stuff, because your brain needs to learn it first, or whatever. And again, doing things too quickly, you're gonna pick up some mistakes and flaws, or whatever else. It's really a marathon in life in general. I'm going to cliches here, of course.
Cool. But, Can I ask you then? Like, let's take. Well, something maybe instructors can take, right? So using kind of these principles and this idea, what's the go-to warm-up for Taekwondo in your head, right? I mean, like we see a lot. I've been training for a long time, and I've done lots of different warm-up classes. People do, the old school jumping jack, standing on the spot, bouncing, running around. There's variations on chasing, or some people go into the full static stretching straight away, or else there's other things. I mean. Is there kind of go-to mobility exercises that you would use, or that you think would benefit a Taekwondo warm-up, right?
Warm-up, for instance, so I think with warm-up, we just want to replicate what we're going to be doing when we do that actual activity itself, or whatever. So we tend to, with static stretching in general, just as a really good rule of thumb, that's going to be on your off days or whatever, because again, it's not really mimicking what we're going to do with the activity, which is a lot of kicking, a lot of bouncing up and down the feet, a lot of kind of quick movement stuff. So I would think some simple kind of hopping drills, some skipping maybe might be the worst idea at all either.
But this is really important, right? So you've hit something really, and I've seen a few people tweak this online recently, is that you have to have the skills or the drills or the warm-up has to replicate what you're trying to do, right? So there's no universal warm-up that works for every class, right? If you're going to do a kick-heavy class, it'll be something that will emulate kicking. Punching, it'll be upper body and hands or whatever. And
keep it in your warm-up nice and dynamic or whatever, so little short holds or whatever else. If you're going to be doing a lot of leg stuff or whatever. So again, for instance, we're going to the adductors, just little short holds, that might be the exact way we do it. The whole principle is like no more than kind of 5 seconds if you're going into a stretch. And then it's also about elevating the heart rate or whatever else for what's going to be done. But as you say, get back to the main point, which is keeping it specific for what the class is going to entail. So
right.
Would be quite important, I would think. But I would tend to just stay away from the side stretching, or and for instance, maybe if you're going to do something, if you're going to be doing a lot of kind of heavy stuff, maybe don't. And this is just a general point. I see a lot of people sometimes they spend too long with the warm up, or they miss the actual. Keep it nice and short. Don't wear them out with the warm up. Is what I'm trying to say. That's a really important thing.
So short, to the point, get the heart rate going, open up the
5
body.
minutes is plenty.
5 minutes is plenty for one, and that's kids as well as adults, doesn't matter?
I would think so. Kids even more so, because they
play though.
Exactly. Absolutely. The problems come, as you become an adult, as things start to stop growing as much, or reducing your kind of.
It's something I noticed I do with my own adult class that I wouldn't do necessarily. Like the kids' classes would be a much more dynamic running around kind of warm up that would be specific, and that might be much shorter. Whereas the adults one will always have an extra component after that will focus on lunges or side stretches or leg swings that will actually activate that kind of. Or at least I have it in my head that I think adults and teenagers need this little bit extra activation, maybe.
Exactly. That's a really good point, and absolutely that little bit of extra activation, that can be a nice potential. If I'm not going to say, because the possibly isn't proof behind that, but a potential sort of injury prevention kind of strategy. It does sort of make sense. And there's many different ways to do that, bands, all this kind of stuff. But as you say, let's not go too long with the warm up, or whatever. Let's keep it nice, short and concise, and then get into the bulk of your class or whatever.
So that's really cool. So what we might actually do then is do a follow on to this, a little supplementary where we can actually sort of put you on the spot and walk through some of the kind of examples and we can talk through them there, rather than eat up this whole video with everything like that. But
of course.
it might be an idea, and hopefully people will get value out of that one as well.
So yeah, if you want, we can look at as we were talking about that earlier, maybe some specific kind of flexibility things for our end.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk flexibility for a second, right? Because there's this thing in martial arts that, you know, everyone has to be able to do a side split, and everyone has to be able to, you know, put their foot over their head and in their mouth and whatever. You know, like, there's no question flexibility is important in martial arts, and especially in Taekwondo where you're kicking head high and stuff like that. But like, I mean, the road to flexibility is fraught with struggle for many people over the age of kind of 12.
100%. Yeah. It's not really easy, and it takes time. That's the big thing with the flexibility. You know, it's like it really is a long game, almost a longer game than, well, probably at least the same amount of time as you know, getting your big muscles and stuff like that. You know, muscles do take time to change their sort of, as we'd say, their sort of plastic structure or whatever else. That really does, that isn't an overnight process or whatever. Despite what the internet may tell you, or despite, you know, there is PNF, there's these little tricks, contract, relax, you can do the body, but that's only that's not actually truly increasing your flexibility or whatever else. Okay. It's more just showing that you have that ability to get into that range or whatever, and there's a blocker perhaps. But you know, flexibility, as I said, to truly increase it, it's something that, you know, you have to be kind of focus on and be prepared to put in, you know, at least, you know, your 3 to 6 months to achieve that kind of muscle change or whatever else, and then be willing to do so afterwards to maintain that muscle change, and then further develop it. It's little and often, but constant, unfortunately.
So, I mean, there's a few, again, because I've seen so many variations on how to get high kicks and how to do stretching, and some of it is, in my opinion, really good. Some of it is outright dangerous. You know, what are the kind of that's okay and this is safe, and what are the kind of red flags? Don't do, if you want to walk again, don't be sort of activist, you know.
Really good question. I suppose a lot of the stuff that I'd see within yoga is actually really good. Like, you know, especially if the teacher half knows what they're doing or whatever else, a lot of that stuff can be really good. At the same time, what I hate to see in general stretching is if we go into like kind of spinal kind of hyperextension. So again, like these kind of back bridges and stuff like that. Like, I don't really like that stuff too much. Again, when we're getting that kind of hyperspinal flexion. Also, as well, if you're stretching out your hips and you're getting a lot of pressure into your knee joint, again, if we're getting these kind of positions, and again, a lot of these can be absolutely fine sometimes, but if we get a lot of pressure into the knee joints, that can be sometimes not so nice either.
That's that 90-90 kind of position.
Which again, for a lot of people is great and works really well, and again, I might show you a little bit of a mobility drill for that to again, maybe for the people that struggle to get in that position, and a way to start to get into that position or whatever. Aside from that though, just those two things in particular, anything that's actually creating pain in general, come out and understand what the difference between actual pain and your resistance point is or whatever. And I think that's fairly intuitive to most people. You know, again, if it's making you grimace and it's getting sore and sore, stop. A stretch shouldn't be a struggle, you know. But it should feel like that you're pushing your kind of end range, if that sort of makes sense. Another big tip I would say with stretching is breathe. Big deep breaths. Okay?
Interesting.
And again, it's something that I draw from yoga, but I use it in my classes all the time for my movement Pilates classes and stuff, you know. And again, I think that's really important because it's going to trigger what's called your parasympathetic nervous system. But this is basically just something that's working in the background all the time, and it's related to the relaxation of your nervous system. The sympathetic is when you get a lot of adrenaline, your fight and flight kind of responses. But when you do that deep breathing, it again just makes the whole body relax. which is probably putting us in a better position to increase that flexibility as well. That's again something proven behind that, but it's something that I find works quite well, because as we breathe out, you'll always notice that you can maybe get that slight increase in your resistance point. You know, that you can just slightly push it forward. So that's that's something that I like to do if I'm going into static stretching. If static stretching is a little bit too hard, what we might do initially then is more kind of active mobility work. So that's where I'm kind of going into a position and coming back out of it. So again, that can be a nice way to sort of...
Is this almost like dynamic stretching, or...?
Yeah.
It might be actually...
A little bit. Like the dynamic stretching, I would say is more so in preparation for activity. This is again on the road to being able to do more kind of let's say kind of deeper stretching or whatever else. Again, for example, let's say not everyone, and I can't really myself too well, so this is kind of great, but for example, like people trying to get into this sort of pigeon pose, that might be extremely difficult for some people to get into fully or whatever. So again, what we might do before that is more so get into this kind of nice position. I can come off it here, and then I can kind of come into it from there and just hold it for a couple of seconds and then come back out.
So you're just in this 90-90, you're bringing that hip forward to roll into the position and out of the position.
Exactly, into a position where I'm really going to feel the stretch on this hip rotator here into my foot. And I'm also rolling into a position where I'm getting a lovely stretch on that hip flexor. But this is nice and comfortable, nice and relaxed. I'm not putting too much pressure on anything. But then I can roll across and go into more of the stretch. But again, I can just come back out of it.
And are you squeezing or contracting the muscles at any point there? Or are you bringing
yeah, especially here I'm nice and relaxed. When I get into this position, if I can try and squeeze here.
So when you fully roll over to that kind of pigeon pose, you want to activate the glute and really squeeze?
Yeah, if you can, because it's going to increase the opening on the hip at the front here, because when that glute contracts, it automatically opens up the hip flexor. Here, I'm not too worried about contracting anything too much. I'm just more so trying to sit into that to try and really deepen the stretch on the lateral rotator here. Also as well, this is quite important, like the more I can get that into a 90-degree position,
the front foot, yeah,
the better it is or whatever. But again, that can take a little bit of time. And as I did that, I was actually getting into a tiny bit of pain, so I actually probably pushed it a little
too much.
You know?
Okay.
But again, I was trying to show off. Again, so that would be an example of what we might do to increase what's called our external or outward rotation of the hip. And again, we can see how that might be quite good for.
Just want to ask really quickly. So I mean, just we said things like dynamic stretching and active stretching, and static and passive. It might be worth kind of quantifying just what those things are for people who mightn't be familiar with it. I'd like to, just so in case anyone go, what's a static stretch?
No, absolutely. So let's go for the most basic one. So a static stretch is static, referring to absolutely kind of no movement. I'm just remaining in the one position the whole time. Again, these are the ones that we might hold for that bit longer of time. So again, let's look at what I'm doing here. So this is basically just a simple kind of calf stretch. Actually, let's make it more specific for our Taekwondo. So let's go with a simple kind of adductor stretch out here to the side. Okay, so this would be on my way to trying to increase the flexibility within the groin. So
again, I just want to talk it out so people who aren't watching and listening.
Of course.
So you're kneeling on the ground, you bring one foot out laterally.
One foot's out to the side, and again, this is my left leg, so I'm feeling that stretch along the left groin muscle as such. And again, what we'd be looking to ideally do, what a lot of the literature would say, we're looking to at least hold this for 30 seconds. I'm going back to what I said earlier about the breath. That's roughly around 5 or 6 big breaths. So again, if I was to apply what I was saying earlier, so I'm going to breathe in. As I'm doing that, I might have the tongue in the roof of my mouth to really relax my jaw and relax my shoulders a little bit as well. And as I exhale, I'm just maybe trying to deepen that just ever so slightly. Another thing to talk about here as well is I don't maybe want to have my back too kind of arched like that. I want to keep my hips nice and level, do what we call as a kind of a backward tilt for pelvis, which basically I'll just tuck my bum and my hip bones just come forward a little bit. So I want to try and keep that position as best I can. If I wanted to deepen this further, I might come down onto my hands a little bit and just, again, still trying to keep my back relatively straight. And just trying to sit back into that and trying to maybe get my bum towards my calf a little bit to try and deepen that in if you're not feeling too much from this kind of initial position. But going back to what we were saying about static stretching, it's just, as I said, anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. I generally wouldn't hold it over the minute at all. I would generally myself, 5 or 6 breaths I find is plenty. And each time you breathe out, you're just trying to increase that resistance point. But as I said, the static stretching, not for before activity. This is more so if you get a couple of minutes on one of your sort of days off or whatever.
End of a session maybe? Good.
Yeah, end of a session I think is great because the muscles are nicely warmed up.
Yeah.
And again, as long as you kind of, again, it's not something that I would go from sparring and go, right, or maybe I would decrease the heart rate a little bit if you were going by the book. But absolutely at the end of the session is perfect because muscles are nice and warm. And but I think it's a good time to try and maybe get a little bit of a flexibility.
So that's static, right?
That's static, sorry. So this way. So let's go to dynamic stretching then. So dynamic stretching again is just stretching with kind of movement. This is more the stuff that we're going to do before activity or whatever. Okay. So again, an example of this, if I wanted to get an active stretch across my glute, I'm just going to bring the knee up towards the chest, try to keep my balance, and kind of work that way. So I'm just taking a couple of steps in between. I might be doing like a little 3-second hold. Say if I wanted to get my quads done, or a little bit into my hip flexors as well, I'm going to bend here, and I'm just going to, again, bring my back forward a little bit, try not to extend my spine too much as I was talking about earlier, but just to get a little bit of a stretch across the hip flexor and quad. Now, I held that too long so it was down, but again, just in real time. So again, need a bit of assistance there. And just that, that would be an example of our kind of
stretching with movement, right?
Exactly.
So we have leg swing these toes.
Yeah, of course. Like another sort of example might be again some simple kind of leg swings as well as we're doing side to side. They're a really nice one actually because you're getting a jump out of it there. You're getting like your kind of adductors, abductors kind of working and sort of warmed up. But also on this side, if you look, your ankle's kind of moving side to side. So you're getting a bit of ankle mobility there in the kind of side to side line. So a lot of bang for your buck in that one. Same with the forward backwards things. Again, this is more working on your kind of hamstring kind of quad complex, your forward backward movers. But as well as that, you're getting a little bit of ankle mobility in the side of the leg that's standing or whatever. So they're great, I think, for Taekwondo in particular because of the amount of those kind of movements that you actually do. Cool. So they would be examples of our more kind of active, dynamic kind of stretching or whatever else.
I'm just going to move us on because I'm actually going to run out of battery and we're running out of time on the memory. But that's I don't want to, because this is really good and I think people really get it.
No. And maybe just a little bit of one thing I was going to say as well about the difference between static and let's say kind of active mobility for stretching and such. So again, what I just demoed earlier there, one was a static stretch in terms of the pigeon, and then the other one was again going between the two positions. So that's more an example of an active sort of mobility exercise, just to further sort of reiterate that point. So
this is a really cool starting point for me on this topic, and I think I definitely want to go into this further.
Of course, yeah.
So maybe we should know, because I don't want to do a big 2-hour video for people. I'd rather break this down into chunks. Maybe we should
make it
more
digestible.
And we'll bring this in. So I'm really enjoying this. I hope people are getting value out of this and enjoying it.
That's the main thing.
We'll do a few more definitely because I think this is really, really cool. Okay.
Brilliant. Okay. Thank you so much. Pleasure, man.
Cheers.
Great. No problem. Anytime.